Hi everyone, my name is Lin Humphrey. I am currently working on my Ph.D. at Texas Tech University, so it's a slightly different presentation. I'm going to be going through a project that I call the Connected Consumer. My agenda is pretty simple. I want to give you a little bit of background about myself, why I left industry and decided to do a Ph.D. We'll talk about the Connected Consumer study that I'm currently working on, some of the initial findings. We'll then talk about some exemplars of connected consumers that businesses are dealing with out there. And then we'll have 3 case studies of brands that have done very well connecting with connected consumers. So I actually want to preempt a question. I get this all the time. Why would you leave industry and go back and get a PhD degree? Why would you give up that income and do that? Actually, I ended up where I started. I started at Texas Tech, did some study abroad, did a master's, little bit of sales, get my feet wet, held marketing and e-commerce jobs, Carnival and American Express, did an agency job, and I'm right back at Texas Tech. Well, the answer is the connected consumer. It is the intersection of mobile and social technology. I don't have to tell anyone in the room this, but the trends are just exploding. Facebook just announced that they have 1 billion active users. I think Twitter's recently said that they have 200 million, and then 50% of phones out in force are smartphones. So we're seeing the intersection of these trends, and what it really does is it allows for consumers to express themselves and communicate with their network better. Well, for me, what it was the opportunity to do some really interesting research that can help business and academia. And then beyond that also allows me to present relevant case studies that's worthwhile to an academic and industry audience. So what I'm working on right now is the Connected Consumer Study, and my hope is that this will become my dissertation. We're looking at mobile and social usage factors, how long people have been on mobile and social, how often they use it, how often they're actually using mobile to do their social sharing. We're also doing a focus on psychology. We want to understand what are the personality factors that heavy users have. How are they sharing with their networks? Are they seeking recommendations? Are they sharing recommendations? And what we hope to do is that this will give us a baseline for psychographics for the connected consumer. Now, I don't have enough responses yet to be able to go through the psychology side of this, but I can tell you that I think the sample I have right now has been really what would classify as a connected consumer. These are outliers compared to what the industry norms are. 99% of my sample are on Facebook, 75% are on Twitter, so that was actually skewed pretty high. The average Facebook user that I talked to had 683 friends. On average, 52% of them are checking Facebook more than once a day. 72% of those are checking 5 times or more. So the next time we do the survey, we're actually going to bump it up so we can get a little bit better information. 96% of these people are managing their social networks through mobile. So that's actually quite a bit higher than what Facebook cites at 50%. What's interesting is we asked the question, how many of you were friends with people you don't know? 24% admitted that. Why? They're very polite. They said that they didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings. 14% of my respondents said that they are friends with people they don't like, frenemies. And I would say that the other 86% were lying. So we're trying to find out some really interesting exploratory things, and once we have enough respondents, we'll be able to look at the relationships between all these and the psychology. So let's look at some connected consumers, and I have 3 examples that I thought would be worthwhile to talk about. The first one is Cruise Radio, Doug Parker, a contact I made last year when I was doing the Chief Marketing Officer panel for the cruise industry. Then I've got Kenley Tigeman, who is a weight loss blogger, who has been a hit in the media recently. And then I've got an interesting example with the DKNY PR Girl. I think she actually transcends corporate accounts to really being a connected consumer. So with Doug started out as a specialist podcast, but he is a connected consumer with media influence. He founded his podcast in 2009, and it's just exploded. The last thing that he told me was 125,000 weekly listeners to his podcast. Now with a mobile app, he gets 4,000 streams on that per month. But what really struck me is when I started following Doug on Twitter, He's never in Jacksonville, where he's based out of. He's constantly in Europe at ship christenings. He's on brand new ships being launched. Activities that were originally reserved for high-producing travel agents and traditional media, the New York Times, USA Today, Cruise Travel, some of the specialty publications. He has gotten a seat at the table because he has content and an audience that the cruise lines like. So it's fascinating that a connected consumer in the course of 3 years could get the same seat at the table as the New York Times. So I think Doug's a great example. Now, Kinley Tigeman, you may have actually seen her in the news, and I see her as a connected consumer, as an empowered voice. Now, she joined into new media really as a blog about her journey for weight loss. She had over 100 pounds to lose, and she thought community could help her. But really it turned into a journey of transformation. What's interesting was the road has not been smooth, as you can imagine. One particular incident was where an airline employee actually treated her with less than dignity, and she used her blog as a forum for that. Well, the media picked up on this, and there were several national media hits on this. And so it really became a platform for her to talk about equal treatment for people of all sizes. And in my last conversation with Kinley, her journey has been 100 pounds lost. She still has a ways to go. But 1,000 followers, or friends as she calls them, that she's gained. So social media and mobile technology has helped her bring this entire support group along the way. And you can see that her blog is helping society as a whole. Now, I struggled with this one. This is Eliza Licht. She is known as the DKNY PR Girl. Originally, when she started this account, you only saw her as that. That's an image by Dallas Shaw. Along the way, she came out of the closet. She was no longer just the DKNY PR Girl. She was Eliza. And I see her as the connected consumer, as a style maven, lifestyle guru. Now, you could argue that, yeah, she's a corporate account. It was originally set up that way, but what she does with it transcends traditional corporate marketing. The behind-the-scenes view of the fashion industry, it's really fascinating, especially if you follow Fashion Week, the incredibly funny stories that they have about journalists trying to sneak into the front row, get the best seats, things of that nature. She gives that inside view, but on her own time, she spends time connecting with her audience around properties that are very similar to the DKNY brand. Where I actually saw her was she was live blogging Revenge. I know she also did Gossip Girl, but it was a way that she engaged with her customers. One of the things that I really would love to know is if we surveyed the people that engage with her as DKNY PR Girl, is their primary loyalty to her or to the DKNY brand? I would probably argue that it's more towards her with a halo effect for the brand, but she, in my opinion, she has transcended a corporate account. So I mentioned some case studies. Okay, we'll be looking at 3 of them. Fab.com is one, Indochino, and BetaBrand. Now, most of these are probably brands you've not heard of, but they do a spectacular job at driving word of mouth and engaging connected consumers. So Fab.com is the first one. They were actually a failed social network. They were geared towards the LGBT lifestyle, and when that didn't work, they decided to pivot. So they created a brand where they sell quirky items. As you can see, the purchase process is going on. I'm adding it to my basket, and then I'm going to do a social share. Kind of the table stakes. Everybody expects that if you're in this space, you're going to look for referrals. You're going to incentivize people that if they spend money with you, you'll give them credit for bringing people in. But what they found was, with their quirky mix of products, that people wanted to share it with their social networks. We heard a lot of complaining in the media about Facebook timeline. Oh, it changes everything. Oh, I can't manage this. Well, what they actually found was it doubled their referral traffic. And they have a nice little box that shows up in the Facebook timeline that allows you to see products like the rocking bed. There's, I think that's a jellyfish habitat. And so as this shares out, it's a perfect way to curate products. But the lesson that Fab learned was that consumers expect that brands are going to respond at the speed of social. If we talk to a brand in social and they respond back to us instantaneously, slow response in other parts of their operations, it's really not going to work. Last year, on average, it took 16 days for them to ship out a product. Not really acceptable to the connected consumer. In their last report, they said now most products go out within about 4 hours. So they really saw that, yeah, they connected with this consumer, they empowered them to share with their network. The rest of their business had to work at the speed of social. So the next brand is actually Indochino. They are a custom tailor out of Vancouver. Now, one of the things with Indochino is you go through the process, you choose exactly the suit you want, you choose the buttons, the collar, the lining, but they know that connected consumers expect to have a functional mobile and web experience. In fact, the suit that I'm wearing today, I bought on my iPhone. When their suits sell out and the fabric is gone, it's retired. And this suit had gone on sale and I knew that I had to have it. And so I was able to do all the customizations on my iPhone with no problem. The other thing that they do a really nice job of that's good for connected consumers is they deputize their customers. Photo contest, one example, but the scrolling right there is actually how they do outreach with Twitter. If somebody says, hey, has anyone tried an Indochino suit? I don't know that I'm super comfortable buying a suit through my tablet or online if I haven't tried it on. Well, they'll ask their loyal network of people to say, yeah, no, try Indochino. This is a product that you can believe in. And so they are very much engaging their consumers. Now, how many men in here are on Pinterest? Oh, more than normal. When I ask that question in my classes, I really don't see that there's that much of a response. Well, this is probably one of the best examples of Pinterest being used by a male-focused brand. They do a great job of having their customer wall of fame. A lot of people do really quirky embroidery on the inside of their suits. So they do a fascinating job of showcasing that. And it really does make the customer feel good to be part of the sales effort. You'll see that I show up there a couple of times, but it's just a brand that I think will really lead the pack. Let's get past that one. So the next brand is BetaBrand. Has anyone heard of them? Okay, you may see their ads in Facebook. They do a fantastic job of Facebook marketing. Here's what they do that's really cool. If you take a picture of yourself in their clothing and you upload it, they will give you a 20% discount. That discount is good for 24 hours. But the cool thing is they send you back this nice little link. Well, the link leads off to their website with you in the middle of it. So here's what the CEO told me, is that 60% of consumers who get that 20% discount redeem that within the 24-hour time period. On average, that link gets shared out to 20 friends. And every 2 photos results in an additional sale. And so what it's done is now they have over 5,000 crowdsourced images, very authentic views into the customer lifestyle. And you notice I chose 2 of them up there that are actually skydivers. And those were not the only skydivers that were using their products. So very diverse audience using this. Again, the products are quirky. They're only for sale for a certain period of time. When they're gone as well. But they have done a fantastic job of driving word of mouth, getting repeat sales, and driving incremental sales just through showing off their customer. So big fan of those. So let's talk about some takeaways here. Connected consumers want to consult their network and want to share their purchases with their network. So that's one of the focuses of my research, but really the brands that are doing this well, that allow that sharing and that consultation, will succeed. Brands must respond in all channels at the speed of social. We have gotten very comfortable that if we complain to companies that don't listen in other channels, they'll respond in social. Now it is up to business transformation that the rest of the business has to fall in line. Operations, customer service, accounting of all departments, and supply chain all have to be at the speed of social. We have that expectation that things are going to be instantaneous. Smart brands deputize influential consumers. There are going to be some sessions on influence marketing. We have a paper on using clout to drive Loyalty. We're working on that with sports marketing, but smart brands will deputize influential consumers and bring their network along with them. And then crowdsourcing can reduce marketing costs and have a very authentic approach for the brand. Now, I actually want to ask for your help. Even though I'm working with a student sample, and it's very easy to get a student sample because I can offer them extra credit, and they want that extra credit because they want their grade to go up. But to me, it's really much more interesting when we have a more diverse sample where perhaps we look at students and we look at heavy media users that are not students. It really gets interesting when you can look at those between group differences. You can actually access the survey at nmx.connectedconsumerstudy.com. You can go through. The first whole section is all about exploratory, how you're using Facebook, how you're using your phone, your duration of times you're using it. We go into an exploration of Foursquare, Pinterest, Twitter, and then we get into the psychological measures. We go into some aspects such as vanity, technology adoption. We look at reflected appraisal. So we ask you what you think that your network would say about your social media usage. And then we look to whether or not you see yourself as a market maven. So the research is based in academically sound psychology with an exploratory side on social media. And my hope is that when we get this completed as my dissertation, we'll be able to share it out with everyone. And it will really be the first research towards understanding the psychology of the connected consumer. I encourage you to connect with me if you want to do a version of this study. With your customers, I'd be happy to do a separate repository for those responses, but I would love to help you crowdsource, which is a best practice for connected consumers. Connect with me at Lin Humphrey or about.me/Lin Humphrey. It is such an honor to be here with everyone today. Just an amazing panel today, and just honored to be a part of it. Thank you very much.